Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Mass. We've got James on Burn squaring off against Nick on Reanimator. A very, very favorable matchup for Reanimator. Burn's going to have a super tough time. Usually game 1 is going to go to Reanimator on anything other than a fumble. And games 2 and 3, we're going to see what James is able to do with his sideboard. That is more often than not how it plays out, but you know, we do play the games for a reason. Now, Chancellor of the Annex leading out is going to blank any type of Force of Will or Force of Negation that an opposing deck might have here. Just going to slow James down a little bit. And we've got a Dark Ritual into Cabal Therapy. Exhume, bringing back Chancellor. And Nick is sitting on a Unmask, which threatens to deal with any type of card that James might have that could deal with this situation. Now, it's not legendary, so Caracas, though it's not often played in Burn, we have seen a red-white build of Burn floating around. We'll see what options are available for James. He's got Basic Mountain Go. And now the Unmask sees a couple of Rift Bolts, Exquisite Firecraft, Chain Lightning, Fiery Islet. Got to imagine a Rift Bolt will go. That card can be a little tricky in this situation. Actually taking Chain Lightning. So we may actually see, this is a race here. James is already taken a hit. He's at 15. We'll see if he can actually manage to take this Chancellor off the board with the Rift Bolts. He's got a Chancellor trigger to clear from the beginning of the game, and then also each of the Rift Bolts will need to be an extra 1 mana. I think now's time to play that Lava Spike and get rid of that additional requirement. No, he's not going to. Interesting. So he's down to 5 now. And now I got to imagine we're going to see the double suspended Rift Bolt. This will get there just in time. And he's going to have to use all of his mana next turn. He will have to pay the 1 for the Chancellor at the beginning, plus for its static ability. So now we've got 6 damage coming in. So Chancellor has been cleared. Just had a customer pop in there. Very excited about Vivid Voltage, the new Pokemon set. We've got a Lava Spike to the face. And Faithless Looting now as Nick attempts to rebuild. Just has to do 5 more damage. Unmask finding its way into the bin off of Faithless Looting. There's not going to be a whole lot of utility to that card. Pretty much anything James draws is going to be thrown right at Nick's face. And we've got a Exquisite Firecraft plus Monastery Swift Spear for 6 more damage. He is perhaps down to 11. I'm not sure if I missed a fetch land in there. Not quite able to make out on my screen Nick's life total. He's got a couple of bad lands, so Price of Progress, certainly a relevant card at this stage if it comes off the top of the deck. And James is going to be able to sack this Fiery Islet, cash it in for an additional card. In the past, we've seen cycle lands of different sorts make their way into Burn. These Fiery Islet might be amongst the best. We've got Cabal Therapy. And that grabs Eidolon of the Great Revel. Gristlebrand is in the graveyard if Nick can find a way to get it back. Lava Spike. And another Lava Spike. And Swift Spear swings for 3. Nick at 2 life draws his card and has to scoop, as that is a unlikely and impressive comeback here for James on Burn, taking down this first game where he was a huge underdog, but Chancellor not quite able to hold up against the burn. Just 6 damage to clear it. Probably have to rewatch this one. I'm curious if the turns would have played out differently if one of those Rift Bolts was taken. Because the Rift Bolt's lower cost, the turn that it has actually used, was super important there. The ability to suspend and then pay the 1. I may actually have to rewatch this one. So James, we'll see what he has for sideboard options. Burn is a significant underdog here, so I have seen Burn decks that just completely don't even worry about some of their worst matchups, and those can include Reanimator, also Dark Depths. A lot of the time they'll completely ignore that matchup, but I've also seen a play set of Leylines in there to try and give you some type of chance. James does not have Leyline, and we've got Faithless, Looting, discarding Chancellor of the Annex. And an Unmask. Unmask pitching a Cabal Therapy. Some high value cards here. And Surgical Extraction. Going to take out this Chancellor. And we see Fire Blast, Eidolon, and Chain Lightning. Eidolon's kind of a pain. If you leave it in hand, eventually it'll come down. And if you put it in the graveyard, it shuts off your exhumes to a degree. I guess, depending on what you're exhuming, you might not actually care. Elish Norn on top of the deck there. Certainly be a card that you'd be totally fine with Eidolon coming back from the graveyard momentarily. The -2/-2 really significant in this matchup, plus the huge backside. The Chain Lightning does go toward Nick's face. And that Cabal Therapy being pitched is pretty high value to unmask. I mean, once you're unmasking, Cabal Therapy's value goes way up, particularly against a deck that has redundancy. So it'd be interesting to see what else Nick has in hand that was more valuable than the therapy. Now another unmask, this time pitching Exhume. James's hand, not ideal. Price of Progress in response. Nick going to be able to fetch. So just going to be 2 damage off of Price of Progress. Ooh, and a Fire Blast. And I suspect this will be an empty hand. Yes, just a basic mountain left. So Nick down to 10, I believe. And a Dreadhorde Arcanus off the top is a heck of a draw. That's going to allow reusing all of these 1-mana burn spells. I've got Nick at 10. And during the end step, entombing a Gristlebrand and now Animate Dead. Only going to be doing 6 damage at a time. Unfortunately for James, that Surgical Extraction actually dealing some damage to him. So that's going to be 3 swings with Gristlebrand. We'll see if he can hold on. Gristlebrand, a bit tougher to remove than the Chancellor in terms of, I mean, I guess they're both really tough, but 7 toughness. It's quite a lot of damage. James considering his options. He throws a Lava Spike, putting Nick to 7. Stopping him from being able to draw cards with Gristlebrand. And he will be gaining the life up to 13. James now down to 12. And this lifelink may be enough. Just the ability to ride that lifelink out. Even Dreadhorde Arcanist flashing back a spell. Not likely to be enough. Nick's going to use his mana with this Faithless Looting. Fetching out the basics, ensuring that Price of Progress is not just a game ender. But it seems like Nick's going to be able to stay outside of range of burn, gaining 6 life at a time. It'd be an awful lot to ask for James to be able to answer this 7 toughness. I believe Nick now at 15. Might be 14. I think I can make that out. Actually, I really can't. But I believe he's at 15. We got Chain Lightning. An Exquisite Firecraft. So, wow! Actually handling this Gristlebrand. But he's got 15 life. I think he may be drawing some cards here. Yeah, he's going to go to 8. Gonna draw 7, so it's a big swing. Dreadhorde Arcanist has 8 life left to chip away on, and now an Entomb. I didn't actually catch what went into the bin, but I'm sure it's bad news for James. Likely something we're going to find out immediately. Animate dead. Gristlebrand's going to be able to come right back. So one more swing needed. Just has to survive for one more turn. And a Dark Ritual into Exhume, grabbing Elishnorn. And that is going to turn this Dreadhorde into a 0/1. Eidolon will come back and then immediately die, as state-based effects are checked. And this Dreadhorde not going to be able to do it. We've got a Lightning Bolt to face, swing. And no, he's not going to be able to play it back. That is going to do it. So Nick picking that game up, needing Elishnorn and Gristlebrand. It's possible Nick was actually at 6 life there based off of James's play. It would lead me to think that was probably the case. I may have missed some life in between there. If Nick was at 6 and there was no Elishnorn down, then that would have actually been lethal. So, might have missed a couple of fetches. Everyone's figuring out their setups. All right, heading into game 3 here, we've got a Mountain into Monastery Swiftspear. Swinging for 1. Creature's such an important part of Burn's strategy in terms of efficiency. There are certainly hands where you can kind of bolt them to death over the course of 3 or 4 turns, but those creatures really add up. And Dreadhorde Arcanist is kind of an unusual card in Burn that's not stock by any means. Mostly seen in Blue-Red Delver and in some of the other Delver variants. Sometimes Grixis. Faithless Looting here. And looks like an Animate Dead and a Reanimate going into the graveyard. Oh no, and a Wear Tear. So no use for that Wear Tear in terms of, ley lines or Grafdigger's Cages. Dreadhorde Arcanus would indicate that Grafdigger's Cage not likely. Eidolon of the Great Revels is an enchantment, which can be very relevant, often forgotten in terms of destroying that creature. And Dreadhorde Arcanus, not the most aggressive, but may end up giving James some more staying power, getting double use out of his burn spells. We'll see if that investment pays off or if it's going to be too slow. His Reanimator is just so explosive. I mean, one turn they've got nothing on the battlefield except a land or two. The next moment they can have a Gristlebrand. And just tons of damage coming in here. Wow, Nick is nearly dead. Unreal amounts of damage. We've got Fire Blast, and that is going to do it. It's actually just straight up KO'd there. So Dreadhorde ended up teaming up to get that extra burn spell out of the graveyard, the extra prowess trigger, and that is enough to take that one down for burn. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.